Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video, myself Marta, where of course as always I'm here with the latest from the tech and gaming world in the last 24 or so hours. I'm actually going to kick things off with Red Dead Redemption 2 for you today. Now I've said this before, but I'll just reiterate in case you missed my previous video. For this segment there will be no Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Redemption 2 footage showing, because previously when I have done so, Take-Two have claimed it via copyright, and when I have disputed it they have actually reinstated the claim. So yeah. Anyway, so what do we actually have? Well, we have a rumour to kind of add to the collection for Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to PC. Now, this is by far not a confirmation. It's far from a confirmation, should I say. But what we actually have is a user by the name of Black Scout on the GTA forums that he found a series of game parameters, strings and functions in the companion app, which obviously is for your smartphone. So there's a bunch of code that isn't really all that interesting, but there's a few interesting things that very much hints that this game may make its way to PC eventually. For example, we have various presets like low, medium, high, ultra, custom and so on and so forth. And we also have various advanced graphics settings similar to the ones that you are fairly familiar with if you game at all on PC, like FXAA enable, lighting, motion blur strength, that sort of thing, scattering volume quality, shadow distance, so on and so forth. And there's also a mention of NVIDIA's TXAA tech, which obviously you will know if you have at all played GTA 5 on the PC. Now, TXAA is only available on the PC. So again, this is far from a confirmation that the game is coming to PC, but it does very much hint that it will be. And the TXAA thing is definitely the most convincing, because again, that is nothing to do with the existing console versions. That is a PC-only piece of graphics tech. Now, obviously, GTA 5 eventually came out on PC, but it was a significant amount of time after the original release when that actually happened. If Red Dead Redemption 2 does indeed come out on the PC, I would fully expect it to be a similar situation where it comes out like a year or more after. But if it is indeed coming to the PC, then great, brilliant. I think a lot of people will be very, very happy with that, especially as it's pretty much getting rave reviews across the board. But we're going to move over to our next topic now, which is actually regarding DRM. Now, this is from a couple of days ago, but I have actually only just seen it, but it is something rather interesting which I feel is worthy of bringing to your attention. Now, we have an interesting report thanks to Motherboard, who are basically saying that, well, the amount of consumer protections and rights you have when it comes to repairing and maintaining an electronic device so it actually, has its original functionality has been expanded. And essentially, it is now legal to circumvent DRM to repair an electronic device. There is a very, very lengthy PDF which lists various exemptions to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. There's going to be a link in the description below this video if you want to give it a read, but again, it's like 85 pages long, so yeah, I highly doubt many of you are going to be buckling in for that one. Anyway, so inside you will see several new consumer protections that allow you as a consumer, and of course repair shops and so on and so forth, to hack firmware and devices like your smart TV, your mobile, tablets and so on, and various other devices where technological protection measures stand between you and the product actually functioning. So a very, very brief quote from this very lengthy document to give a sort of clarity, I suppose, as to what this actually means. Says, quote, the Acting Register recommended a new exemption allowing for the circumvention of TPMs, restricting access to firmware that controls smartphones and home appliances and home systems for the purposes of diagnosis, maintenance or repair. So now you can bypass DRM and TPMs in general for the, quote, maintenance of a device or system in order to make it work in accordance with its original specifications. So, for example, you have to, your phone breaks or whatever, and you have to technically break the DRM to fix it. You can't be held liable for doing that because, well, you have a right, quote unquote, to your smartphone working as it was originally intended. What's interesting, however, is that this doesn't just cover hardware, which you might expect. it does cover, quote, computer programs where the circumvention is undertaken on a lawfully acquired device or machine on which the computer program operates, or is undertaken on a computer system or computer network on which the computer program operates, with the authorization of the owner or operator of such computer system or computer network, solely for the purpose of good faith security research, and does not violate any applicable law, including without limitation to the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986. And there's even a section on video games as well that covers, quote, instances when the copyright owner or its authorized representative has ceased to provide access to an external computer server necessary to facilitate an authentication process to enable gameplay. So, for instance, if there's a always online DRM check, for instance, for your favourite game, but then the server gets taken down like 5 years later or whatever, it is no longer illegal for you to circumvent that, so you can still play the game that you paid good money for, which is definitely a step in the right direction. And further on that point, the exemption allows for, quote, copying and modification of the computer program to restore access to the game for personal, local gameplay on a personal computer or video game console. Now, obviously, we don't know how this is actually going to work in practice. There have been numerous instances of various manufacturers putting things in place where someone who's not authorized to do so, third-party repairman, or you yourself as a person who owns the device from repairing it, so, trying to force you to go to their, licensed repair shops or whatever, so that they obviously can get the cash out of you. Not to be overly cynical, but that is obviously the reason for such measures. But overall, this is a massive step in the right direction because, again, even in the case of a game, it stops working because the servers have gone offline and you can't get access to even the single player component or whatever because of an always online DRM check. You can legally now circumvent that, so you can play the game that you paid for. And again, if your smartphone stops working and there's something in the phone or the software that is stopping it, you can go around that and not be penalised. It's definitely a win for us as a consumer. So, it's by no means, fixing all the issues that there are with DRM and obviously DMCA and all that sort of stuff. But it is, again, definitely a big thumbs up from me on this one. So now we're going to finish up proceedings for today with a little something from AMD. We actually have a couple of AMD pieces to finish things up here, as the first thing is that AMD is releasing a new APU for the FM2 Plus socket. And I know that's jogging the old memory banks, I'm sure. So what we actually have here is a new A87680 Carrizo APU for, again, the FM2 Plus socket. And we have listed, we do have a listing, should I say, from AMD themselves, listing the processor for the mass market. And it has propped up on various retailers previously. Now, this is a bit of a puzzling decision, to be quite frank with you, because, well, it's on the old 28nm node, 28nm, I know it's been a while since I've had anything less than 12, but it is speculated to be based on a quad-core design, which in itself is based on the AMD Excavator architecture. Now, we don't have specs for this yet, but there is speculation and rumours kicking around the internet that it's going to have a 400 MHz increase on the base clocks, bringing it up from the 3.1 GHz we saw on the A87600, and obviously to 3.5 GHz on this A87860. Now, obviously, the main question on everyone's mind here is why? Why do you do this thing, AMD? And I don't really know the answer to that, to be honest with you, because obviously there's a bunch of Zen APUs available, so why would you go for this over Zen unless you've got a really, really ancient machine that just needs that little bit of extra life breathed into it somehow? I mean, it's entirely possible this is a purely contractual thing, like they had to make X amount of Excavator base architecture chips or whatever, or they just happened to have it lying around. I thought, why not? Let's just release it. If anyone buys it, yeah, sure, why not? I'm sure they have their reasons. It just seems to be a bit odd, to be quite frank with you. But yeah, it is officially on the AMD page. It's going to be a link to a PDF, which you would have seen on screen already in the description below this video. So yeah, this is a thing. Anyway, we're going to finish things up with a final report regarding the RX 590. So what we actually have here is a report from a website by the name of techlapse.com. And they actually say that the RX 590, which of course we've been discussing for some time now, I discussed just yesterday, just the other day, should I say, how there was another RX 590 SKU spotted on the internet. And now we have this report, which is basically saying that we are expecting, should I say, to see this particular graphics card released on November the 15th, and the price is expected to be 2,099 won. Sadly, no sources for this were mentioned, so do take this with a rather healthy pinch of salt, but it does kind of line up with the rumours and speculations that we have heard previously, so make of it what you will. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.